Wow, here we are again, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We're going to look at Psalm chapter 34 today, and we're dealing with words written by a man who spent much of his life in some kind of trouble. The Bible says that man's days are few and full of trouble. You can't change that. There's no way to change that. Trouble is just around the corner for every human being. You say, wow, you got up this morning, you walked outdoors, you said, what a beautiful day. Man, this is the day the Lord hath made. I'm going to be glad and rejoice in it. And you get in your car. You back down your driveway. You feel like you've looked both ways, and it's clear. So you stick the rear end of that car out of that driveway and wham! Somebody hits it. And you say, couldn't that stupid fool see me? No, it's not his fault. You just backed straight out in front of him because you didn't see him. So, let's put the blame where the blame belongs. But you just took what was this beautiful, good day, and you entered into realism, real life, looking around every corner of every second. There is something that can get into your day that changes your day or your life immediately. A phone call. Say, Peter, my name's Peter. Peter, this is your sister. Mama just died. Mama just went to heaven. Wow, that's good. She's permanently in heaven. She's not a 96-year-old woman now that's having to suffer all the pangs of age on this earth. So, was there a bad in that good? The bad in that good was I'm a human being. And immediately it strikes me, it irks my soul. But there was a good in it. She went ahead and passed without a lot of misery. Matter of fact, never spent a day in the hospital because of her age. Never spent a miserable day because of her age. Other than that, she couldn't perform with her body like she could with her mind. Pretty much could, but not always. So, let's look at realism. In Psalm 34, this is a psalm David penned down. And as he penned this psalm down, at one time, before a king, his name was Abimelech, David had acted like he was insane. And he had done that so that Abimelech would drive him away. Otherwise, had he acted like his normal self, like he should have been, Abimelech would have cast him into prison or done something with him. So Abimelech runs him off, said, this man's beside himself. He can't hurt me. I don't have to worry about him. He's a nut. And so he turns David away. Well, God pays attention to these situations. God pays attention to every one of his children in every situation every one of his children have ever been in. God is aware of that situation. He's aware when we think it's not good, he's aware of it. When we think it's bad, he's aware of it. He's always aware of the situation. So he was aware of David's situation here and the trouble that was upon him. And he helped him in a time of trouble by giving him enough sense to act like he had no sense in that time of thing. And he gets cast away by those. The author of this Psalm 34, and no doubt, is David. And this was after he had pretended in his life to be an idiot. And the king had put him away, and he escaped King Achish. In 1 Samuel 21:10 and verse 10 through 15. You can read that story. We're not going into it today. He said, I will extol the Lord at all times. His praise will always be on my lips. I did not look that word up, extol. I wanted to and failed to. But I think it is the top of exceeding. It is the top word in exceeding, to extol, bring it to the top, the best, and praise my Lord at all times. God brought him through a place. In the physical, he acted foolish. In his heart, he was worshiping God, and he extolled God to God's height in his heart, and said, God, you got to bring me through this. So he did something physically with his body and extolled God, brought God forward. And the Lord at all times, he said, at all times, I had God on my mind. I had the Lord on my heart. And I knew God had something for me to do, so I did what God had me do to get me through this incident. My soul will boast in the Lord. He said, I can't boast in my own smarts. I got to boast in the Lord for giving me those smarts to get through this situation. And that's what we need to do. Let the afflicted hear and rejoice. Who are the afflicted in this case today in Psalm 34? It is you and I that are going to hear a story and see a story here. That we are afflicted of the world. David was being afflicted of the world. He's saying, read my psalm that I wrote right here. I was afflicted of the world, but at the same time, inside of me, I was extolling God. He was the top in me. He was the one in me that I was rejoicing in him in me. And nobody could see that outside. So I acted foolish on the outside, and on the inside, I was full of God. Wow. So here he was, and his soul will boast in the Lord. Let the afflicted hear and rejoice. Now, when you're afflicted, he's saying here in Psalm 34, when you're afflicted, extol God inside of you. And that affliction will not drive you mad, will not make you incoherent, will not make you have the problems. I had a wife very, very short time ago, last year, went to heaven with cancer. I believe with all of my heart that she extolled God inside of her. And never one time, not one time, in the 2 years that she had cancer, did she ever, I have never, one time, ever heard her make one complaint. Not one. Not one time. I never heard her say, God, why? Not one time. I never heard her question God. I believe this lady 100% extolled God in her heart and her life, so that the cancer was not the first thing. God was the first thing. Cancer was secondary. And the cancer finally took her to heaven. But God knew what he was doing, and she knew God knew what he was doing, and she went along with it. Glorify the Lord with me. Let us exalt his name together. Let's us, if you're watching this, let's us exalt God together. Let's put our mind on the Lord. You say, I don't know how I happened on this station or where you are or anything like that, but here I am, and I'm watching you, and I understand that you're some kind of nut, and I am. but I'm screwed on the right bolt. The right threads. My nut is loose. It's easy. I can turn it up or down, and it turns on the threads real easy. This is what David said. David said, I'm a nut screwed on the right bolt, and it never gets tight. I'm able to turn it. And exalt, verse 4. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all of my fears. If you go back and read the story of David in front of Abimelech, and then read what he says right here. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from my fears. There was a fear of Abimelech. And God delivered him from him by allowing him to act foolish in the body, while at all times he was conscious in his soul that his soul was content, but his body needed to be delivered. Why did his body need to be delivered? He didn't care if he went to heaven right then, in a sense of the word. His body had to be delivered, he said, because I got things to do. God has some things for me to do in this body. So his body, that's the reason my body's being delivered. God has some things for me to do. I'm 77 years old. Fit as a fiddle. Work daily. And God has given me strength. Not that my body doesn't have pain and aches and whatever, because it does. It's like the preacher said. We went off handling wood, handling trees, cutting trees and moving them and working at a disaster area last week. And I felt pretty good until I got home, got out of the truck. When I started to get out of the truck, I realized that rigor mortis had set in. I wanted my legs to walk, and they didn't want to walk. The muscles said, woo, you've exerted me today, and I'm not going to walk for you. So I had to work on that. Even right now, I'm rubbing my muscles on my legs because they still have ache in them. So he delivered me from my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Words, the word acrostic. This is an acrostic psalm. It can be put in different directions, different ways, and all kinds of things. And it can cross over. It could be put in a crossword puzzle as an acrostic word that other words go through it. And they all match up to it. So this is an acrostic psalm. And it really is a psalm that is brought for you and I to be able to see the promises and to see the blessings that God had for David and how they were fulfilled, and see the promises and everything for you and I today, and how if we follow him, keep him extolled in the front of our soul and body and our head and our mind and our heart, in spite of what our body is doing, he will bring us through with victory, great victory, peace, joy, love, and long suffering. I must get on. There are 22 verses, and I have only covered 5. Their faces are never covered with shame. Your face will never have to be covered with shame if you are following God to the best of your ability. This poor man called, and the Lord heard him. He saved him out of all his trouble. David said, I'm just a poor man. Yeah, David could be king. He could have had all the riches. He could have had all the command of the world. And the command of God. Yet he realized his side of the equation is he is a poor little old man. Just a human being compared to God. The poor man called. And the Lord heard him. He saved him out of all his troubles. Verse 6. We're all poor people. Even those of you who are watching this, who feel pretty secure, who feel like you're pretty rich, who feel like you got a pretty good bit in the bank and whatever, just remember, there's a pile above you by the millions that have more. You think, well, I don't know how many there is that have more, because I'm the guy that's right at the top. I actually got billions. I got news for you. There's a man out there with trillions, and you probably never get to where he is. So when you start to thinking about the height you are on the earth, you might as well forget it, because you're always going to be beneath somebody. All right, verse 6. The poor man called, and the Lord heard him. He saved him out of his trouble. Wow. Poor or rich, you're going to have trouble on this earth. The angel of the Lord encampeth around those who fear him, and he delivers them. By the way, back onto this rich thing, it just irks me to death that I see it happening. Here's this real wealthy man sitting behind the desk. He thinks he has all his security in place, but somebody in his secure place from the inside, maybe the understudy that he has sitting across the desk from him, is whittling away at his account and nibbling away at it. Well, I had this crazy boy working for me when I was young who was computer smart. He made a nibbler. What did the nibbler do? It nibbled letters, one letter at a time. A, B, C, D, E, F. It nibbled that letter. If his nibbler got in your computer and nibbled at it, and you didn't open your computer for a week, when you open it, there would be much of your computer empty. It would be gone. Why? Because his nibbler got in your computer. And until you can find it, discover where it is, and how to get rid of it, it will nibble everything in your computer. If you don't open it for a month or two, when you open it, there'll be nothing there. It nibbles everything. It nibbles it away. Daily, it's nibbling. Nibbling. Nibbling those words out. One letter at a time. Just one letter at a time. Nibbling it out. And so, yes, there are people with sick minds. The angel of the Lord encamped around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Who does the angels of the Lord encamp around? Those that fear him. And what does God do? He delivers them. Through his angels that you don't see. It's like that nibbler that you don't see. Those angels are there and deliver them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is a man who takes refuge in him. My refuge is in God. It's not in this nut, this crazy guy. Back when I was alcoholic and in the world, they thought I was crazy. Now I'm saved and I'm the Lord's, and that people still think I'm crazy. So maybe I am crazy, but I'm crazy on the right side. Now I'm crazy for the Lord. I want to extol him in my life. I want to bring him up. And he is my refuge. Verse 9, fear the Lord, you his saints. For those who fear him lack nothing. Wow. I can lack nothing. I could be in rags, standing beside the road, going nowhere. Stick my thumb out to catch a ride to somebody else who think they're going somewhere, which would be nowhere to me because I don't know where they're going. So I get in the car. They let me out where they let me out, and I'm still nowhere. And I've picked people up before and said, where are you going? They said, I don't know, I'm headed toward Florida. Well, it's warm down there for the winter. I can probably survive underneath a tree somewhere. So they headed down to where it's warm in the wintertime. Then they headed back to where it's cool in the summertime. And get out of the heat. So, and they're going nowhere. They really don't have anywhere to go. And there are people out there like that. Well, you and I are just like that in a big sense of the word. If God is not leading, guiding, and directing us, we're going nowhere. We're just here, passing through. And we'll be here and we'll be gone. Who will miss us? Only those who absolutely know us the best and love us. Who will miss us? Some of those who hate us and don't like what we stand for. They'll miss they can't plague us anymore. They'll say, man, that guy's gone. I got to find somebody else to plague now. And verse 9. For the Lord, you his saints, for those who fear him lack nothing. The lion may grow weak and hungry, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. Come, my children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Verse 11. Where do you come to be taught the fear of the Lord in this day and age? You come to his book, the Bible. The Bible is where you come to learn the fear of the Lord. Whosoever of you love life and desire to see many good days. Verse 13. Keep your tongue from evil. Woo. And your lips from speaking lies. They hit me right between the eyes. I'm a human being. I have a finite brain. I have a heart that would supersede the brain if I allow it to. But if I don't allow it to, that's a lying tongue. That's a lying tongue. He said, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking lies. In other words, he said, keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut, Peter. I'm Peter. Keep your mouth shut, Peter. Have you lied lately? Only yesterday. What is a lie? An exaggeration. If you exaggerate, you lie. You say it's 10 miles to the store. Well, I went 12 or 13 miles today. It's only 10 miles to the store. You could have gone 20 miles, I said. You went down there and you came back. If you went down there and you hadn't come back yet, you hadn't been 20 miles yet. See, it sounds so simple, yet it's so complex that it is true that we lie. Verse 13, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking lies. 14, turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. I can tell you this old boy right here ain't never learned that lesson yet. I'm working on it. Just keep your mouth shut. I'm Peter. And I'm saying, Peter, keep your mouth shut. And you'll stay out of a lot of trouble. You'll stay out of a lot of trouble. You keep your mouth shut. Verse 15. The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. God's eyes are on me because I am his righteous, one of his righteous people. And I have to be careful because eye is upon me too. And his ears attend to my cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the memory of them from the earth. Wow. Those that go down into the pit, their memory gets cut off from the earth. Those who go to heaven, their memory does not get cut off. People still remember them. Verse 17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hear them. He delivers them from all their troubles. By the way, I'm in chapter 30 34 of the book of Psalms. There are references in my Bible that tell me to go to another Psalm. I could go to Psalm 145 and look at verse 19. It says, and it will give me a clear answer to this very thing that we're looking at here. In verse 18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. You must realize, first of all, that you're crushed in the spirit. Once you realize you're crushed in the spirit, then you can come forth and say, God, I'm crushed in the spirit. I need your help. And God will come and He will deliver you from those type of troubles. The Lord is close, brokenhearted, and save those who are crushed in spirit. Verse 19, a righteous man may have many troubles, but the Lord deliver him from them all. A-L-L, all. God will deliver us from all. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others. Have you ever pulled a weed up? Walk back out there a week later and you say, man, I pulled that weed up. Well, it had a brother or a sister or something, because there it is again. They look just alike. They must have been twins. The one you pulled up and threw away, another one took its place. So you got to pull it up and get rid of it. And so that's the way it is in life. Righteous man may have many troubles, but the Lord deliver him from them all. He protects all his bones, not one of them will be broken. How about that? He said, you remember that the angel or the devil came to Jesus and said, God said He's given you an angel to watch over you, that you won't dash your foot against a stone. And God watches over us. Evil will slay the wicked. The foes of the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems His servants. No one will be condemned who takes refuge in Him. Verse 22. This is Psalm 34 and verse 22. Says in the Old Testament, in that psalm, that God will redeem all of His. If you are His, if you are righteous by saying, Jesus, I'm a sinner, forgive me of my sin, come in my heart and save my soul, and the righteousness of God came in you, then you are righteous in His eyes. Yes, you may have trouble with your little finite brain. You may have trouble getting things going, learning things, doing things. But the thing it is, God will deliver you from those things. Wow. That's the end of Psalm 34. Psalm 35 is a prayer of David. We're going to look at that in a bit. And we'll see you next time. This is Brother Peter saying bye-bye. And we'll see you next time. Right.